Every company has rules. Ours just had the wrong kind. You think you're signing up for a job, clock in, clock out, pay your bills. But the place I worked for, it wasn't built for people like us. It was built for something else. I don't even remember what they called it. Maybe that's part of the rule too. If you ever find a job that gives you a handbook with a set of unsettling rules, walk away because I didn't. I'd been out of work for months when I finally got hired. I didn't even remember applying for the place. The email just said, "You've been selected. Report Monday at 8." When I got there, the building had no sign. There were no logo or no slogan, just glass, steel, and a badge reader by the door. My badge didn't have a name on it either, just a number, 44. Inside, it looked like any other office. There were desks, computers, everything felt normal. HR gave me a short welcome talk and handed me a small booklet. Said it was the employee handbook. Only it wasn't like any handbook I'd ever seen. Each page was numbered, but the sentences, they were strange. Stuff like, knock 3 times before entering any closed room. Never use the elevator after 10 p.m. Do not speak to anyone without a visible badge. If you ever heard your name whispered anywhere inside the building, do not answer. Always face the mirrors in the lobby before leaving after sunset. I remember chuckling a little, looked at the HR rep and said, "Is this a joke?" She didn't laugh, didn't even blink. "Don't test them," she said. Then she smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile people mean. My first week went fine. Quiet people, quiet work. Nobody talked much, but I didn't mind that. I was just glad to have a paycheck again. So I followed the rules, not because I believe in them, and not because they made sense. I followed them because I couldn't afford to lose another job. I knocked 3 times before opening doors. I kept my badge facing forward. I avoided the elevators after dark, even when it would have been easier. At first, it felt ridiculous, like playing along with some office tradition nobody wanted to explain. But when rent is due, you learn to ignore strange things. You tell yourself, every workplace has its habits. You tell yourself, being uncomfortable is better than being unemployed. And then one night, I stayed late to finish some reports. Everyone else had already gone home. The whole building was silent, except for the hum of the lights. I needed to print a few pages, so I walked down the hall to the copy room. The door was closed. I didn't even think about it. I just turned the handle and walked in. Halfway across the room, I heard it. My name, whispered right behind me. So close, it felt like someone's breath on my neck. Without thinking, I answered, "Yes." Then I spun around. Nothing there. No one was in the hallway. Just that sound of the lights buzzing above me. I told myself, maybe it was fatigue, maybe a nickel, or maybe an air through the vents. Didn't matter. I finished my work and went home. But I didn't like the way the building felt after dark. The silence was different then, heavier, like the place stopped pretending once most people were gone. After that, I'd made sure to finish early whenever I could. One morning, when I opened my desk drawer, the handbook was there. I didn't remember leaving it at the office, but somehow It was sitting right on top of my papers. I didn't open it right away. I just stared at the cover, waiting for the feeling to pass. I opened it. There was a new line written in pencil at the bottom of page 2. Same neat handwriting as the rest. Remember, the rooms listen. That's what it was written. I looked up slowly and scanned the office. Desks, monitors, people typing like nothing had happened. I waited. I waited for someone to glance over, someone to smirk, someone to look guilty. Nobody did. That made it worse. Because if this was a joke, somebody was having a hell of a fun. A few nights later, I stayed late again, not because I wanted to. The reports had piled up and the department manager had started asking about deadlines, so I stayed. I wasn't alone this time. Another guy from accounting was working late too. His name was Mark, a quiet type. Well, same as everyone else. Around 10, he packed his bag and said, "I'll see you tomorrow, man." I nodded. I didn't even realize what time it was until I heard the elevator ding. He stepped inside, doors closed, and that was it. The next morning I walked in and there he was. I greeted him, but there were no response from him. Something about him felt a little bit off. He didn't want to talk. He didn't even blink much. He was just staring at his screen, with his hands moving in a slow, mechanical motions. That's when I started to really pay attention. Around me, everyone followed the rules like clockwork. 3 knocks before entering every door. No one used the elevator after 10. And in the break room, the moment I asked, "What's with all the knocking?" the whole place went quiet. Not awkward quiet. I could feel a sense of fright in their eyes. That's when I realized it wasn't a joke. Still, I kept telling myself maybe I was overthinking, that there had to be a normal reason for all of it. It happened on a Thursday, around 8 at night, right when most people were heading out. The lights went out, total blackout. For a second, no one moved. Then, the emergency lights came on, beep, red, buzzing. The security doors locked automatically. We were trapped inside. No one panicked. They were just waiting. Everyone stood still, like they had practiced it before. I tried to ask what was going on, but nobody answered me. They just kept their eyes on the floor. That's when I noticed a vent panel near my desk slightly bent open. Inside, something glinted. I pulled it out. It was a book, the same size and the same cover as our handbook, but older. The pages were yellow, the corners burned. It wasn't a new edition. It was the original. The rules were mostly the same, but with handwriting notes in the margin. Words like containment, breach, and protocol. The last line of the final page was written in fresh ink, as if someone had added later. The entity adapts to confidence, maintain compliance. That's when it hit me. The rules weren't office policies. They were containment procedures. And we weren't employees. We were security measures. Then the PA system came on. Static at first, then a voice. And I recognized it. It was my voice. "Eli, take the elevator." I froze. Everyone turned to look at me. Nobody else said a word. I didn't wait to see what they would do next. As soon as that voice stopped, I ran straight to the stairwell. The air in the hall felt thick, like breathing through water. As soon as I started down the steps, I heard whispering again, soft, close, following me. They weren't words this time. It was counting. One, two, three, then silence. And again, one, two, three. Every time I skipped a step, the count restarted, perfectly in rhythm with my heartbeat. So I kept going, clutching the handbook as I ran. When I reached the lobby, the front doors were locked. I grabbed the handles and pulled. Nothing. They are all locked. And outside, the street was right there. Empty sidewalk, dark windows across the road. A world that looked close enough to touch, but the glass didn't even shake. I turned back toward the lobby. All the mirrors were shattered except one. I didn't want to look at it. That was when I remembered another rule. Always face the mirrors in the lobby before leaving after sunset. I thought about all of those evenings I had walked out with my eyes down. All the times I had told myself it didn't matter. All the times I had been too tired, too embarrassed, or too afraid to play along. The building had been counting those too. Slowly I faced the mirror, and I can see it. The same face, the same shirt, the same tired eyes. But my badge didn't have my face anymore. Word was written in the place where my face should be. It said, Supervisor. I stepped back. Then the PA system came on again. Static at first, then my voice. Upper level, access approved. I looked toward the elevator. Its light blinked softly in the dark. I didn't move. I stayed in the lobby for what felt like hours, maybe longer. The clock above the security desk never changed. 10 p.m. Always 10 p.m. I checked my phone until the battery died. I yelled until my throat hurt. I kicked the doors until my leg went numb. Nobody came. The building didn't rush me. And that was the worst part. I waited, like it already knew what I would do. That was when regret finally hit me. Not the small kind. Not the kind where you wish you had made a better choice. The kind that makes your whole body understand that too late is too late. That you walk into something you were warned about. And I started regretting. I regretted laughing at the rules. I regretted ever answering that email. But regret didn't unlock the doors. It didn't stop the whispering. And it didn't make the building let me go. The only thing still working was the elevator. The lights blinked on and off, like it was waiting for me. I looked down at the handbook, and then I realized the copy room. I had it knocked. The whisperer. I had answered it. Mark's badge. I had spoken to him before I could see it. In the lobby mirror. I had ignored it every night I left after dark. And now, the elevator. The same room Mark wrote. Never use the elevator after 10 p.m. And I remembered. I remembered him the next morning with the same clothes and the same face. But it felt like it wasn't fooling him, like he wasn't fully there. I used to think the rules were ridiculous. Then I thought maybe they were just warnings. But now I understand. They were permissions. Every rule I broke gave the building another way to claim me. I laughed once, but it came out wrong. 5. I whispered, I am breaking 5 rules. I guess I have no choice. The building is not giving me any other alternatives. The elevator doors opened. I didn't want to, but I had nowhere else to go, so I stepped inside. And now, the building was offering me the same choice. The elevator door closed. The panel didn't show floor numbers anymore, just a blur of symbols, numbers, and letters shifting too fast to read. Each time the doors opened, I saw another version of the office. One where every desk was empty, but every computer was typing. One where the employees sat perfectly still, facing the walls. One where Mark stood in the center of the room, badge turned backward. Then, the doors opened to my floor. My desk was there, my chair. Someone was already sitting in it. He had my shoulders, my haircut, my hands. Then slowly, he began to turn, like he had been waiting for me to look. The doors closed before I could see his face. Finally, the elevator stopped. No number appeared above the doors, just one word: management. The doors opened. The floor beyond them was darker than the rest of the building. The carpet was clean. The walls were smooth. The lights above me flickered without making a sound. There were doors on both sides of the hall, but none of them had names. They only had numbers. Some were scratched into the metal, some looked burned in, and some were still wet. At the end of the hallway was an office. In the door, written in black letters, was my badge number, 44. And beneath it, one word had been added: supervisor. I think I finally understand what this place really does. It doesn't make products, it makes replacements. And the only rule left for me now is to stay. The handbook was still in my hand, so I knocked 3 times before entering my new office.